This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
The views expressed by guests on this program do not necessarily represent the views of the host or owners of the Doggy Diva show and do not necessarily constitute endorsement of products. Medical information discussed by guests on this program are those of the guests and is only for informational purposes and should not replace medical advice by your local veterinarian professional.
Hi, this is Susan Marie from the Doggy Diva show. This week is having pet insurance worth it? And an organization that helps people and animals in crisis. That's what's on our show this week. Let's get started.
Hey, did you hear that? What is that? It's the bark heard round the world. The Doggy Diva show. Here's national award-winning author and animal advocate, Susan Marie.
Hi, welcome to the Doggy Diva show, the show for animal lovers. I'm your host, Susan Marie, and as always, I'm joined by my canine co-hosts, the Doggy Divas themselves, Francesca, Coco, and our newest little diva, Miss Olive. Miss Olive is the cute little Italian Greyhound rescue in the picture with the microphone. Thank you for joining us today as we bring the experts in the pet and animal world right to you. Contact us at thedoggydiva.com. That's the DOGGYDIVA.com. We love hearing from you. So go grab a cup of coffee and your pet's favorite treat, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Looking for a dental treat that does more for your dog? Daily Dose is a 2-in-1 chew that pairs a daily dental scrub with powerful supplements to help with the biggest health concerns facing our dogs. Daily Dose was developed by vets to be simple to use and super effective. Plus, dogs love the taste. Available for joint, skin, heart health, or calming. Daily Dose. Your pet's daily dose of awesome. Visit yourpetsdailydose.com to save $3 on your first bag with promo code PETLIFE. That's yourpetsdailydose.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Doggy Diva show. I'm here with Monica Leighton, president of Professional Pet Sitting. And Monica, there's something that I think pet parents are very interested in, especially if their pets, if there's things coming up, whether it be just even routine examinations or things, and something that's really important for us to know about that people ask questions of me about. So can you tell us about pet insurance and the importance of having it?
Pet insurance has been around, for a while, and companies kind of come and go, but not a lot of pet owners are really educated or have done, the research and looked really into pet insurance. As an industry standard, usually 3 to 5% in each state is the highest number of pets that are actually covered under a pet insurance policy. So it's a very, small percentage, as the number of, population of pets out there that are actually covered. Pet insurance, one thing that it does instill is the fact of, being able to cover something when emergencies happen. Emergencies don't always happen. So, you are paying into something monthly that, you may not necessarily need that year. However, I kind of like when we talk to clients, I kind of talk to them about it in regards to like car insurance. Car insurance, you have it because you want to be covered, but you hope you're not going to have to use it. But if you don't have it, it can sometimes be, catastrophic when it comes to the amounts that you can have to pay. And the same thing for our pets. Sometimes things happen and, it's just a random, thing. And it puts you into a financial situation that you were not anticipating nor have the ability to cover. So that's, the great thing about pet insurance is that for a, moderate monthly rate, you cover yourself against those unexpected expenditures that can arise that sometimes would result in euthanasia or, other issues because the pet owner could not, pay to treat the illness or the accident. A couple things to look for, though, when you're doing your research on pet insurance. So there's different companies out there, different policies, and things that I really look for just, being, working in the veterinary office when we talk to our clients about it is, one, when you get pet insurance, it is cheaper per month the younger you do it. So if you get a puppy and you are interested in pet insurance, a lot of people say, oh, well, I doubt I'm going to have a whole lot happen as a puppy. They're going to be, healthy and everything. We'll wait and get insurance until they're at an older age. Some insurance companies will lock in rates when you first get your insurance. So when you shop around, that's definitely a question to ask. How much of a rate increase is there per year? And a lot of them have coverages where they lock in rates when you start. So the starting rate as a puppy is very small. You could be looking as low as $30 to $40 a month. And if you have an insurance company that locks in that rate for the life of the pet, that's going to be a huge savings when that pet gets older, because as they age and you get policies, the policies will, increase at certain age levels, usually like around 6 years old. And then again, at 10 years old, you'll have rate increases because the number of health issues that will increase during those ages, goes up. So that's definitely one thing to look at. Another thing to look at when you're, comparing policies is congenital issues. Some plans cover congenital issues and some do not. Another thing to look at also is pre-existing issues. If you have, a pet that has had anything pre-existing, always check their pre-existing issues clause. So for example, some of them will not cover pre-existing issues at all. So if your pet has been known to have like GI upsets, like vomiting, loose stool things because they have a sensitive stomach, that could be something that's covered under pre-existing and may not be covered. Other companies that have pet insurance that have limited pre-existing will have it to where if you haven't had symptoms or an outbreak in this illness within an X amount of months, I know some policies are 10 months, some policies are a year, then you're covered again. So it could be something, perfect example. We have a poodle, a toy poodle that comes to our office, and they have pet insurance. And their pet insurance does cover pre-existing issues if it's been over 365 days within a claim has been filed on that issue. Well, her pet is overweight, and it blew out a knee. And it blew out a knee at the end of 2018. Well, then 13 months later, it was literally a month after it renewed, when pets blow out a knee, she got the surgery. The pet insurance covered 90% of her bill, which was huge because you're talking, a $3,000 to $4,000 surgery. Well, oftentimes the pets will shift their weight during recovery. So when you have a knee that's blown out and they're not putting as much weight on it, oftentimes when they shift their weight, it can cause damage to the other knee. And a large percentage of pets that blow out knees will sometimes blow out the opposite knee as well. And that's what happened to this dog. Their pet insurance company, and luckily had that 1 year rider, so they actually covered the price of both knee replacements, which is a large amount of money.
Yeah.
But definitely, that's one thing to look at, because these things are things that vary from one policy to another. Some cover these things, some do not. Another thing that I found very interesting too is like things as in prescription pet food. At some point of your pet's life, as they get older and they get into illnesses and things, prescription diets sometimes become more readily used, simply because a lot of them work really well, especially when it talks to like kidney issues or, mobility, things of that nature. A lot of intestinal issues. Dogs are treated solely, on a dietary change instead of, adding medications and things like that. And some pet insurance policies do cover prescription diets, but I always have them check and see what percentage it is, because some of them are a lower percent. You're talking 20 to 30%, and it's capped off at a a month time span. So for example, a couple insurance companies that we looked at, they cover, prescription diets up to 30 and some 50%, but then they cap out at like 2-3 months. To where others, one in particular, they covered prescription diets up to 90%. So you're getting a 90% reimbursement on your pet food, and it's for the life of the pet. So when you talk about the money that you're going to be getting back, something like that is going to be a huge difference in dollars when you're talking about something being covered, 2 to 3 months versus the entire life of the pet. Even though that company may not cover this or that, when you still look at the dollars and cents of it, that's where you need to ask those questions, because that's when you're really getting, the best bang for your buck on some of those things, because that's something that's very widely used. Another thing is the deductibles. Some deductibles are really low, like $50, and some are, $250, $500. Look at the monthly payments that you'll have versus your deductible. So a perfect example, we had there's a new pet insurance company out there that was brought out by the company that owns Zoetis, and it's called Pumpkin, kind of like, Halloween, Thanksgiving pumpkins, so Pumpkin. And what I found interesting about that one is compared to, and I can only tell you stats from my office, but nationwide and Trupanion are generally the two policies that most of our pet owners have in our, current office that they've, given us feedback on. But what I found interesting in this newer one is, so for example, with the nationwide, it's like a $50 deductible. However, for the Pumpkin one, it was a $250 deductible for the year. However, their monthly payment, their monthly premium was almost half as expensive as what the other two policies were. So if you don't have an issue come up, then you're saving yourself. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. It could pay itself off in the long run. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you can afford a $250 deductible once per year, if your pet gets into an issue, then you're saving yourself in the long run if you don't have to use the insurance.
Yeah.
So things of that nature are all things that I always tell clients to look into and kind of see what fits them. And yes, it does take a little bit of homework, but most of those questions that I talk to you about can be found on their website. It's not like you have to make 10 million phone calls. A lot of that information is right there on their websites, and it's just determining, your dog, what their history has been, and things like breed can go into that. If you have a larger breed dog, then that arthritic issues may be something that could become a problem, or a genetic issue, because some larger breed dogs are more genetically prone to having hip dysplasias and arthritic issues later in life. So it's all based on kind of your pet and what you think the issues may be during the life of that pet. And we all know that things that could be unexpected can come up, foreign bodies or your dog chewing something, but that's something to, consider into your factors too. If you maybe have a lab, which is the number one dog for ingesting things, then, pet insurance may be a really good thing for you to look into, just to cover yourself for that.
Those catastrophic moments. Now, Monica, what about for wellness exams, dentals, just the general annual care of your pet? What's the benefits of pet insurance for that?
That was another thing that I found interesting, because let's be honest, pet insurance is still a company and they want to keep their people renewed. And when I've talked to some of our vendors that are, reps for the company and things, just in frank conversations, I've kind of had for them, I kind of play devil's advocate, being the client purchasing pet insurance. And I'm seeing, okay, you have a wellness policy, and your wellness policy is going to cost you this much extra per month. So let's just like one of the insurance companies I was looking at this last week was $18.95 a month. So for $18.95 a month, you could get wellness things covered. And some of those wellness things were like, they paid up to 3 vaccines per year. They paid for a fecal sample a year, a 4DX, which is a heartworm and tick-borne disease blood test every year. Things of that nature that are things that you're going to get, on a regular yearly preventative basis. But when you look at the cost of what it would cost them just to come into the office and purchase those things, what I personally have found, and of course cost is different in every state, what your veterinarian charges for, something can vary from office to office and town to town. So, but just generally speaking, when I looked at what we currently charged for all those things and then looked at the amount that they were giving them back as a claim reimbursement and what it was costing them each month, I personally, and this is just my opinion, I personally did not feel like it was something I was going to recommend to our clients, simply because it's going to cost them more in the long run than what they would pay at one time just to have it done. Now, the other thing that can go into that, though, playing devil's advocate, if you are on a very fixed income, sometimes coming up with $150 at one point to get all the yearlies done can be, difficult. And sometimes paying that extra $20 a month to cover it is what fits that family's, budget and situation better than others. So again, it's subjective. It's whatever, works best for you. But when you're looking strictly dollars and cents, I have found that most of the wellness things, you're paying out as much as you're getting back.
That's interesting. I know that some places that businesses have it like you have human insurance taken out. You could sign up to have your pet insurance taken out. So that's automatically taken out of your paycheck, weekly. And I think that sometimes when people have that done, it's easier than paying all of that at once. It's already taken out. It's already covered. But you're right. Sometimes does the research into finding out, does the pay into the just have it pay actually benefit you, and does it end up costing you more? I guess it sounds like from what you're saying, Monica, there's a lot of research that needs to go in. It's not just a one size fits all.
Absolutely. So I would, your best situation. So if it's something that you don't mind paying a little more into when it comes to wellness, just to have it being taken care of and not worry about it later, then that may work for you. If you're just looking at a budget and paying that, annual vaccine visit is not a problem for you financially, but you want the best bang for your buck over the year, then, not adding the wellness may be best for you. It's really different per household and, per preference. But what I would recommend is really seeing, obviously, if you have the pet, you can easily talk to your veterinarian or just look a copy of your last invoice to see how much you were charged for your pets yearly and what they got. And then, compare it to the insurance, wellness package. So you know what you're going to pay at your vet, and that way you know what you're going to pay for the insurance company and see, which works best for your family.
Well, this is like really great information. And I think it's something that someone just asked me about it this week because something happened with their dog. And they had said, I don't understand how the insurance works. I wish I would have had it, but I never understood it. So for those people who have those questions that are saying, gosh, I really don't understand it, Monica, you just gave a whole bunch of great information for people to better understand it and also understand the importance of researching. Now, if they want to Google it or find out how to find out about it, would it just be something as simple as Google pet insurance and then all of these different companies come out?
Absolutely. Yes, they do. And like I said, there's a lot of really good companies out there. And again, you just do your research and see what works best for your, family. I personally have found that feedback from clients that have it, the most popular ones that I personally have seen are like Nationwide and Trupanion, and then they have this new one, which is the Pumpkin Care. And the Pumpkin Care was the one that covered the 90% of the pet food. So like I took one patient in our office that had spent the most money in the past year. This was the one that had the 2 knee replacements. Well, that pet is also on a prescription diet. And even though the Pumpkin Care would not have covered the second knee replacement, the money that she would have gotten back in the prescription diets, she would have gotten more money back out of that insurance versus the other one.
Well, I'm glad I know you. But I mean, everyone needs a Monica that they can ask. I know. And it's really important because you don't understand. As you know, my pet, well, I have 2 of them that are older so that they have more needs and special needs. And Coco, she's pretty much just is good with an annual and she's good to go. But it is, you have to navigate it. And I have insurance, but I have to you always have to navigating it. And I have a different kind for Olive than I have for the others. So it's kind of like a part-time job.
Yes. I mean, it definitely takes some due diligence.
It does.
But if you take the time, the money, just the peace of mind that if your pet does have something happen, then they are covered. And one thing I do see is, the clients that in our office do have pet insurance. When that pet gets ill, it's okay. What are we going to do? Yep. Let's get it done.
Yeah, it puts you in a totally different state of mind, and I believe in it. So, I mean, I think that what you just did was you really laid it out really great for people who were wondering, should I do it, or how do I do it, or what do I do? I think that you just laid it out really great so that people could do their homework and find out how much of an investment it is, or will it pay off? Is it going to be something that's more than what you are looking to invest? So, Monica, thank you very much. You brought us great information. Again, if anyone wants to look more into this, just Google pet insurance and look at what all of the policies are. Make sure you have, like Monica said, have your last, whether it be a wellness check or whatever it is you've done, maybe your last annual amount of bills that you've gotten put together. You have to see what benefits you the most. And there are different deductibles and there are different payments, and it's a part-time job. So, Monica, thank you so much. This is such valuable information, and you have a great week.
Thank you. You too have a wonderful week.
We'll be back in just a moment. Hello, everyone. Susan Maria Miss Olive here to let you know that the second book in the Doggy Diva Diary series, Miss Olive Finds Her Forever Friends, continues to get rave reviews from dog readers and children. A story about Miss Olive's encounter with bullying and how she learns that her superpower is the love and kindness that you have on the inside. That's what counts. Please also check out the award-winning first book in the series, Miss Olive Finds Her Forever Home, a story about Miss Olive's rescue and adoption. Both books are available at Amazon.com and other online book retailers. Thank you, everyone. Coming up, protecting your pets in relation to domestic violence. Stay with us.
I have a chocolate cocker spaniel named Lady and a blackmouth cur, and it's a lot of responsibility owning a dog. My dogs don't have any health problems because they're eating what they need to eat.
DINOVITE.com.
Dinovite is like pouring a multivitamin right onto their food. We'll be scooping our Dinovite, then squirting the liquor chops and the fish oil. They start salivating.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dinovite at DINOVITE.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Doggy Diva Show. Since 1987, RedRover has focused on bringing animals out of crisis and strengthening the human-animal bond through emergency sheltering, disaster relief services, financial assistance, and humane education. RedRover is a founding member of the National Animal Rescue and Sheltering Coalition, established after Hurricane Katrina's devastating impact on more people and animals than any other storm in United States history. And with us today is the CEO and president of RedRover, Nicole Forsythe, to tell us about RedRover and what they are doing to help animals and people in crisis due to natural disasters like the recent wildfires and hurricanes, and their plans for October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Welcome back to the show, Nicole.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, it's so important, the work that you do. We want to make sure everybody knows about it. And for those listeners who may not be familiar, our first-time listeners who may not be familiar with RedRover, could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So a lot of people refer to us as the American Red Cross for animals. So that's a nice way to think about it, because we're really there to help when people and animals are in crisis, especially when they're in crisis together. So those natural disasters, when we know people don't want to leave if they can't bring their pets with them, we're there. We have volunteers all over the country and parts of Canada that go in and help set up a temporary animal shelter so that when people have to go to an evacuation center, the animals have a place to go as well. And we also, have learned that the same kind of thing happens in domestic violence. People won't leave their abusive situations if they can't bring their pets with them. So we know, many of the listeners know how valuable that human-animal bond is. And so our organization is really there to kind of keep that bond intact and also strengthen that bond, maybe between people who, don't quite understand the value of that bond. And so helping kids in schools really understand animals, develop that respect and understanding so that they can have strong bonds and prevent cruelty and abuse from happening in the first place.
That's so important. And the work you do is very intense in that human-animal bond. So I thank you for that. And one of the things that we touched on was October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Can you tell our listeners what your plans are for the month?
Yes, we're very fortunate that we have the support of Purina, and they have promised a 4-year commitment of helping us fund our grants that help domestic violence shelters become pet friendly. But in addition to the funding, we have really stepped up the awareness of this issue. And I think it's especially important because a lot of victims of abuse don't realize that they're in an abusive relationship. They might think there's something going on, but they're not quite sure what. And often the pet, how a pet is treated in a relationship can be a sign that there might be some abuse going on, especially if it's psychological abuse, not physical abuse. And so we're really trying to increase awareness about domestic violence and pets and the role that pets play in domestic violence. We also want people to realize how prevalent it is. So 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience domestic violence, domestic abuse sometime in their lifetime. And we also know, because of those strong bonds that people feel with their pets, nearly half of the victims won't leave their abusive relationship unless they have a place to go for their pets. So for us, that means, how can we address this problem? How can we solve this? And one way is by making the domestic violence shelters pet friendly. Currently, according to our safeplaceforpets.org website and database, only about 17% of shelters will accommodate pets. And even then, they can't accommodate all the pets that come to them. So we really want to make sure we increase that percentage. And also, if they can't go to a domestic violence shelter, offer emergency temporary boarding for pets to go to a boarding facility while the person who's in the abusive relationship can go to shelter. So, those are 2 ways in which we really try to address this issue. We've also started to help animal shelters house pets from domestic violence situations in a very robust, sustainable way. And sometimes it takes multiple community resources like an animal shelter and a domestic violence shelter, maybe a fostering program, to really accommodate all the needs for this particular issue. So we're really there to go in. We do a lot of outreach to the domestic violence shelters and help them figure out what is going to be the best kinds of programs for their community. So October is our time when we really step up this awareness. We have this program with Purina called Purple Leash Project, and these are the grants that help domestic violence shelters become pet friendly, and they're ones specifically that Purina is funding. So we have this great opportunity for people to go to our website, redrover.org, go to purpleleashproject.com and find out how they can get involved. We have a monthly donor program where people can become a monthly donor for just $5 a month and get an actual purple leash. And the purple leash has some great, take the lead kind of messaging about domestic violence, and it can be a way to share images on social media. Tag Purple Leash Project, tag Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and just, again, help spread the word about this issue. We're going to have posters available on our website mid-October that people can download and share with veterinarians and also hairdressers, because there's some research suggesting that hairdressers, beauty salons, beauticians are often the number one person told about an abusive relationship. And there are training programs all over the country starting now to help beauticians understand the link between domestic violence, what it looks like. And so if we share what it looks like involving a pet, we're hoping that they can be given some resources to help them get out of their abusive relationship. There's so much going on. There's also Purina's brands. Some of Purina's brands are really stepping up and helping us in this awareness campaign. So Cat Chow, if anyone has Cat Chow right now, there's a program called My Perks. And if people sign up for the My Perks loyalty program, they can actually designate RedRover as a beneficiary when they accumulate enough points. So that's also really exciting. And we have another, a fancy feast will be coming up, but that's going to be a little bit later. So I won't talk about that for October. But then we also have the deadline to apply for safe housing grants. It's October 15th. So if someone knows of a domestic violence shelter that isn't pet friendly now, but is thinking of it, October 15th is the deadline. And we can also, help people start really slow, start small, and we're available to walk them through what that process has looked like. And last but not least, we are working with the Pause Act Coalition, which passed. So the Pause Act provides federal funding for domestic violence shelters to become pet friendly. So last month in September, we worked on a pet night on the Hill to just increase, again, with the legislators on the Hill, to make sure the Pause Act continues to receive funding. So a lot going on.
I know, and you guys are so involved in it. And when I received notification about the Pause Act, you guys are the first person I thought of, because that's so, so important. And for people who aren't familiar with the Pause Act, can you just explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it is specifically government funding that's set up through the Department of Justice, which is great because a lot of domestic violence shelters are sort of used to that grant process, for their other domestic violence programs. So it provides $2 million for domestic violence shelters to, add programs to become pet friendly.
When we spoke last year, I know one of the goals with the Purple Leash Project was to ensure that every state has a domestic violence shelter that will accept pets. How close are you guys to that goal?
We are so close. We just checked West Virginia off the list.
Oh, wow.
So the only states left are Hawaii, Mississippi, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. And so we're going to keep doing outreach for them, figure out, what are the barriers, because there's often many barriers, to help walk them through. And sometimes it just takes time. They want to do it, but they just have a lot of barriers. So we're out there helping them step by step of the way. And in the meantime, really trying to reach a new goal, which is going to be that 25% of all domestic violence shelters across the country are able to accept pets.
That's great. Now, what else have you planned with the Purple Leash Project for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so Fancy Feast, another Purina brand, is going to be joining in November, and they have a way of celebrating the holidays with a unique ornament. And so all the proceeds of those ornaments are going to go to RedRover, and people will be able to start to go live later this month. So that's pretty exciting. And then, we're also trying to find ways to, again, to just continue that awareness. So not just within the month of October, but another big push in spring. So people can expect May for National Pet Month. We'll also be doing a lot of promotion then too.
Now, as an organization that helps animals and people in crisis, can you tell us how RedRover has been helping during these times that we're going through in the pandemic?
Yeah. So one of the first things we did as soon as this happened was figure out, how is this going to impact our programs? And we have seen with our urgent care grants, which are grants that help people afford emergency veterinary care. We saw in the 2008 economic decline, we know that our applications went just skyrocketing. And as expected, our applications are also skyrocketing for those urgent care grants. So we've seen a 40% increase in applications. And luckily, we have the funding from donors and foundations to help support that. So we're very grateful to that. But we also thought, there's going to be some other unique needs, and we don't want people to have to relinquish their animals to animal shelters just because they get sick with the virus. So what we have done is expanded what we do with our domestic violence temporary boarding grants, and we've extended that to people who might need to be hospitalized for a long time with the COVID-19, or maybe they are just so sick they can't take care of their pets and they're living by themselves, or their pet has special needs. That sometimes is an issue. So we are providing temporary boarding so the pets can go to a boarding facility while they get the treatment that they need.
At the end of the interview, we're going to get contact information because I don't think that people understand that there is an avenue for that. With all of this that's going on, I think that you're right. We want to make sure that the pets stay for the time being when the person is ill or maybe in the hospital or maybe too ill to care for the pet, that there are alternative solutions to that besides giving the pet up, because there's enough trauma going on in both of their lives that we definitely want to make sure we could help with that. RedRover, you guys do so much work with natural disasters. And what have you been doing like with the wildfires in California and such as Hurricane Laura, which was a devastating hurricane?
Yeah, it's been so tragic because we cannot deploy volunteers during this pandemic. We made a decision early on, especially in talking to our partners, the National Animal Animal Rescue Sheltering Coalition. We had lots of discussions with our other animal groups that we collaborate with, and we just collectively decided it's just too much of a risk to deploy volunteers. That said, we do deploy staff based on a, as needed situation and depending on the safety, where we feel like we have a lot more kind of control over the environment. And then we do what we always do, which is really do a ton of outreach and find out where are all the resources for people, and we collect those resources and share them massively, as quickly as possible. And we have a nice partnership with the American Red Cross where they share our resources really quickly as well. So it's kind of nice. We're becoming known for collecting those, resource lists and getting them out there so that at least if we can't deploy, at least we are, helping make sure people know where there's pet-friendly lodging, where the pet-friendly evacuation shelters are going to be, where there might be some transportation if they have difficulty with getting their pets or livestock out, disaster planning tips, as much information as we can. And then a lot of kind of consultation on the phone with the local evacuation shelter. So our director of field services is on the phone, talking people through setting up things, since we can't be there all the time ourselves. So it's been hard. We have a lot of volunteers who really want to go help, but we just feel like at this time it's just, especially in really hot zone areas, it's just not safe at this time.
Speaking of the volunteers, when we've talked in the past, of course, you have classes that you train and the different shelters use for training, but we're in a whole new world right now. And you have digital training classes. Is that correct for your volunteers now?
Yes, it's really exciting. It's something we have wanted to do for a long time. But of course, we've been really busy with disasters. So because we had some staff time, since they didn't have to set up these deployments, we quickly repurposed everybody and said, hey, you know what? Let's do this soon. Let's do this sooner than we were planning. So that's what we have done, and it's free. So it's a great chance to take opportunity, to get actually trained for free, and it's all online. We just launched it, so it's wonderful to get feedback from people too who go through it. So that can be people sign up for our email at redrover.org, or look on to the responders, RedRover responders program pages that'll tell you more about how to do that.
And that's one of the things I wanted to ask. Everyone wants to help and everyone wants to do something. They can't always do it. Times are changing. Things are changing. But how would someone become a RedRover responder volunteer, especially in these times? And even though we're going through COVID, there are still things going on in our country that animals and people need us. So how would someone become a RedRover responder volunteer?
Yeah, just go to redrover.org. And probably the best way to kind of get updated information on becoming a volunteer and other ways to help is to sign up for our email. So because the pandemic is really kind of inspiring a lot of people to help, we have put together many ways people can help. So getting trained to become a volunteer is great, but if you can't deploy in a while, we still have, share the resources on social media, share the resources for domestic violence and pets. We also will give people tips on connecting with their local shelter to help with food bank drives and, all sorts of other things that we can kind of help people in ways they can help. So we've got interest lists too for Red Rover readers and Red Rover responders workshops. So if they do want to wait for an in-person one, it's always good to sign up for the interest list. We have a program that trains teachers and educators how to use our Red Rover Readers program, and all that program can be done online now too. So if people want to become trained to become a Red Rover Readers volunteer, or if they're already an educator, that's another great thing that can be done online, and you can sign up for the interest list for that if that's something that you're specifically interested in.
Now, if someone wants to donate, or if someone wants to learn more about Red Rover, where can they go? Where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, our homepage, redrover.org, has a button right there to click to donate. Becoming a monthly donor is like the best way to support us because it saves money in the direct mail kind of mailing costs of things. And it's also easy on people's bank accounts. So it works out really well. And it's also something you don't have to think about. So it just automatically goes to the animals. And if people want to donate and become a monthly donor during Purple Leash Project time, it's perfect because they get a free dog leash or a cat collar. We have little cat collars too that have the Purple Leash Project, Take the Lead for domestic violence kind of messaging on there.
Now, before we go, Nicole, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners?
No, I can't think of anything. I just encourage people to, go visit us at redrover.org, follow us on social media. We're on pretty much everything, and it's just a really great way to see kind of day by day what we're up to. And Kind News, we haven't mentioned the Kind News magazine yet, but we have a magazine for kids called Kind News, and kindnews.org has a way for you to now download the magazine digitally as well. So we've pretty much pivoted everything that we do to make it available online. And so if you're curious about what the magazine is, this is a great time to take a look because you can look at it for free. You can share it with teachers and parents and people that you know who might have kids at home right now. And there's interactive games on the website now too. So that's also a great new addition.
That's great. It's kind of like an all new norm. Everything is online and available online, and the magazines are digital. It's amazing how things have changed, but it's also amazing how everyone's acclimating to it. Like I said, it's kind of like becoming a new norm, and you guys are right up there, keeping us right in step with what we need to do to help in any way that we can. I'm so happy you could come on the show. I really feel it's important that we had you on the past couple of years, where October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and you do so much for that and for the owner and their pet. I don't think sometimes people even think of that when this is going on. People sometimes stay because they don't want to leave their pet at home. So what you've done is you've given so many options, and you bring in so much awareness to this. I felt it was so important to have you on. So I thank you for being our guest today and sharing important information, not only on the human-animal bond, which is so important, which is what you guys are built on. It's also bringing awareness to Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is in October, and all of the amazing work that you are doing at RedRover. So I thank you so very much. It's an honor to know you and all the work that you are doing at RedRover, everyone there is doing, and the way it's sort of, again, become a new norm in how RedRover's acclimated so that we can all still stay involved and be a part. And it's always great to be a part of the solution. So I thank you so much for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you so much, and thanks for everyone who's helping bring those solutions into action. So very grateful for all the supporters.
Thank you. And if you want to learn more about RedRover, please go to redrover.org. Thank you, Nicole, so much.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a moment.
Are you listening to this right now with a cell phone clenched between your teeth as you frantically flip pages on your paper calendars? Or are you a new breed of groomer, bred for speed and efficiency of movement? 123 Pet software automates your communications, doing the reminding, confirming, thanking, and marketing for you. 123 Pet centralizes your schedule, employees, clients, inventory, and more. 123 Pet is the business management software you need. Start minding your business today. Visit 123petsoftware.com.
Let's talk pets. Let's talk pets on Pet Life Radio. Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
We would like to thank our guests this week. And also, as our Doggy Divas always say, please love your pets because they love you unconditionally. And please remember to adopt, foster, spay, neuter, and microchip. And as always, please have a great Diva week, everyone.
That's all for this episode of the Doggy Diva Show. To find out more, go to our website, thedoggydiva.com. Also, find us on our Facebook page, The Doggy Diva Show, and tell your fellow dog lovers about it. Don't miss Susan Marie, Miss Olive, and the Doggy Divas right here for the next episode. See you again soon.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.